In the world of rugby, where tradition runs as deep as the game's roots and courage is measured in tackles made and tries scored, 5 extraordinary warriors decided to take on the toughest opponent of all, stereotypes themselves. Welcome to Rainbow Spotlight, where we celebrate the heroes who proved that the most important battles aren't always fought on the pitch, but in the hearts and minds of millions watching. Today, we're honoring rugby's Rainbow Warriors, 5 LGBT stars who didn't just tackle opponents. They tackled prejudice, broke down barriers, and transformed one of the world's most traditional sports from the inside out. These aren't just rugby stories. They're revolution stories that prove the most powerful plays happen when athletes choose authenticity over approval. From the Welsh captain whose coming out changed rugby forever to the referee whose authority commanded respect while living authentically, each story demonstrates that rugby's greatest strength isn't just its physicality, it's its capacity to embrace everyone who loves the game. Number 3 made history as the first active British Rugby League player to come out and was overwhelmed by the positive response. And number 1? Their courage as Wales captain created a template for athlete activism that continues inspiring sports stars worldwide. Drop a rugby ball emoji if you believe the beautiful game should welcome all warriors. Because what we're about to reveal proves that rugby's most important victories weren't about championships. They were about the courage to be completely, authentically yourself in spaces that had never made room for that truth. Subscribe to Rainbow Spotlight because, honey, these Rainbow Warriors are about to remind you that the most powerful tackles are the ones that bring down barriers and open hearts. When Gareth Thomas first stepped onto the international stage for Wales in 1995, he seemed destined to become exactly what Welsh rugby needed. A versatile player who could dominate wing, center, and fullback positions while representing the warrior spirit that defined Welsh rugby culture. His career would establish him as one of rugby's greatest players. 100 caps for Wales, 4 Rugby World Cups, captaining both Wales and the British and Irish Lions, and becoming Wales's all-time leading try scorer with 40 international tries. But Thomas's true legacy extends far beyond statistics into the realm of pioneering courage and proving that LGBT athletes can achieve legendary status while using their platform to fight for acceptance, break down stereotypes, and create lasting change that transcends sports into universal human progress. The moment that changed everything came in December 2009 when Thomas became the world's first openly gay rugby player while still at the height of his fame and influence. His coming out wasn't just personal. It was revolutionary for a sport traditionally associated with hypermasculinity and conservative values. I don't know if my life is going to be easier because I'm out, but if it helps someone else, if it makes one young lad pick up the phone to Childline, then it will have been worth it, Thomas told the Daily Mail. His courage generated global headlines and demonstrated that authentic living could enhance rather than threaten sporting legacies. What makes Thomas's cultural impact so revolutionary is how he used his legendary status to challenge fundamental assumptions about masculinity in rugby. His honest discussions about spending years trying to hide his sexuality, even getting married hoping to change his orientation, provided crucial insights into the psychological pressure facing LGBT athletes in traditional sports. His admission that he spent his life trying to hide from the truth resonated with countless athletes worldwide who recognized their own struggles in his journey. The internet celebrated Thomas's evolution from strategic concealment to authentic activism as proof that legendary athletes can create lasting cultural change. His 2010 recognition as the most influential gay person in the UK by The Independent and receiving Stonewall's Hero of the Year award demonstrated how authentic representation can influence society beyond sports. His later revelation in 2019 that he was living with HIV further established him as an advocate for health awareness and ending stigma. What's most compelling about Thomas's influence is how he transformed personal struggle into universal inspiration while maintaining athletic excellence. His choice to come out during his career rather than after retirement demonstrated confidence that authentic identity enhances rather than threatens sporting achievement. His continued work as an LGBT speaker and advocate shows long-term commitment to meaningful change rather than temporary publicity. The most remarkable aspect of Thomas's legacy is how he proved that rugby's traditional values of courage, honor, and respect can encompass authentic diversity when championed by genuine leaders. His approach to fame prioritized authentic self-expression, meaningful advocacy, and positive community impact over traditional celebrity management. Industry observers note his substantial influence on how rugby approaches LGBT inclusion and athlete activism. Whether through his record-breaking rugby career, his pioneering coming out, or simply his courage to use his legendary platform for systematic change, Thomas represents something foundational about contemporary sports culture. Proof that the greatest athletes are often those brave enough to use their influence for something larger than individual achievement, creating lasting change that transcends sports into universal human progress and authentic acceptance. Drop a 1 if Gareth Thomas's legendary courage proves that the most important tries aren't scored in matches. They're scored when champions tackle stereotypes and open hearts across the world. When Campbell Johnstone first pulled on the All Blacks jersey in 2005, he seemed destined to represent everything that New Zealand rugby embodied: raw power, technical excellence, and the warrior spirit that made the All Blacks the most feared team in world rugby. His career as a prop forward took him through New Zealand's elite rugby system: 3 All Blacks caps, Canterbury Crusaders mainstay, and international experience with French powerhouse Biarritz Olympique. But for 18 years after his rugby retirement in 2014, Johnstone carried a secret that he believed was incompatible with All Blacks identity until January 2023, when the 43-year-old made a decision that would forever change New Zealand sports history. He became the first openly gay All Black, proving that authentic courage can transform individual truth into universal inspiration and systematic cultural change. The revelation that changed everything came on New Zealand television when Johnstone participated in a coming-out interview that generated global headlines and demonstrated the power of authentic representation from rugby's most prestigious platform. "In my head, being gay was not a part of that image," Johnstone explained to Olympics.com, describing how New Zealand's country of farmers culture and strong men that cultivated the land imagery made him believe that gay identity was incompatible with All Blacks representation. His honest acknowledgement that he pushed that away and kept it hidden provided crucial insights into the psychological pressure facing LGBT athletes in hypermasculine sports. What makes Johnstone's breakthrough so historically significant is how completely it shattered assumptions about All Blacks culture and New Zealand rugby identity. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Sir Graham Henry, his former All Blacks coach, described him as a very good player who made quite a difference, and praised his confidence to set a good example. Current All Blacks Aaron Smith celebrated his bravery and mana, while Black Fern star Ruby Tui declared she had never been more proud of an All Black ever. The internet embraced Johnstone's approach to authentic living and his commitment to using his All Blacks legacy for meaningful representation. His initial belief that the announcement would generate only domestic headlines was astounded when it spread around the world like wildfire, demonstrating the global hunger for authentic LGBT representation from elite athletes. His reflection that people globally connected to the story and began telling me their story and how me coming out had actually helped them proved that individual courage creates universal healing. What's most compelling about Johnstone's influence is how he represents the evolution of rugby culture toward authentic inclusion while maintaining traditional values of courage and honor. His honest regret that he wasn't strong enough to come out earlier because it maybe could have helped more people sooner demonstrates remarkable humility and authentic commitment to community impact over personal comfort. His story has inspired countless young athletes worldwide who now believe that rugby excellence and authentic identity are completely compatible. The most remarkable aspect of Johnstone's revolution is how he proved that All Blacks representation can encompass authentic diversity while strengthening rather than weakening New Zealand rugby's global influence. His approach to fame prioritized genuine self-expression and meaningful community impact over traditional celebrity management. Industry observers note his substantial influence on New Zealand rugby culture and global LGBT sports representation. Whether through his elite All Blacks career, his groundbreaking coming out, or simply his courage to exist as the first openly gay All Black when no one knew what consequences he might face, Johnston represents something vital about contemporary progress. Proof that the most important leadership often comes from individuals brave enough to transform personal truth into universal possibility, creating opportunities for future generations to compete authentically and proudly in spaces that had never imagined such representation possible. Drop a 2 if Campbell Johnstone's All Blacks courage proves that the most important haka is the one where someone stands up for their complete truth, inspiring others to do the same. When Keegan Hurst first stepped onto the rugby league field as a young prop forward, he seemed positioned to become exactly what British Rugby League needed: a powerful, reliable player who could anchor scrums, make crucial tackles, and represent the working-class values that defined rugby league culture. His career with teams like Dewsbury Rams, Batley Bulldogs, and Halifax was marked by consistent performance and the kind of leadership qualities that earned him captaincy roles throughout Northern England's competitive league system. But on August 15, 2015, Hurst made a decision that would forever change British Rugby League history. He became the first active British Rugby League player to publicly come out as gay, proving that authentic courage could coexist with elite rugby performance while creating possibilities for future generations of male athletes. The announcement that changed everything came through an interview with the Sunday Mirror, just hours before he was scheduled to play against local rivals Dewsbury Rams. The 27-year-old father of 2, who was separated from his wife, explained that, "The time had come to be true to myself." His courage was immediately tested on the field that same day, but the reaction was fantastic. Teammates, opponents, and fans celebrated his bravery rather than creating the hostile environment he had feared. "I have been overwhelmed and humbled by fans and fellow players' support," Hurst reflected, proving that rugby league culture was more accepting than stereotypes suggested. What makes Hurst's breakthrough so significant is how naturally he integrated authentic self-expression with continued rugby excellence and team leadership. As Batley Bulldogs captain, he demonstrated that openly LGBT players could maintain leadership positions and team respect while living completely authentically. His approach was refreshingly straightforward: focus on rugby performance while being honest about his personal life rather than creating dramatic narratives around his sexuality. The internet celebrated Hurst's approach to authentic living and his commitment to remaining focused on rugby excellence rather than seeking celebrity status. His reflection that he didn't want to go on some kind of crusade, but hoped his decision would help break down stereotypes, demonstrated thoughtful consideration of representation responsibilities. Fellow players and coaches consistently supported him, proving that rugby league's traditional values of respect and fair play could encompass authentic diversity. What's most compelling about Hurst's influence is how he proved that British Rugby League could support openly LGBT players while maintaining team cohesion and competitive focus. His choice to come out during the height of his playing career rather than after retirement demonstrated confidence that authentic identity enhances rather than threatens sporting achievement. His continued success as captain following his coming out established a template for other athletes considering similar revelations. The most remarkable aspect of Hurst's revolution is how he normalized LGBT representation in British Rugby League through consistent excellence and authentic leadership. His approach to fame prioritized rugby performance, family responsibility, and genuine representation over traditional celebrity metrics. Industry observers note his substantial influence on rugby league culture and authentic LGBT representation that continues inspiring young athletes worldwide. Whether through his pioneering coming-out announcement, his continued captaincy excellence, or simply his courage to exist as the first openly gay British Rugby League player while still actively competing, Hurst represents something foundational about contemporary rugby culture. Proof that authentic representation strengthens rather than weakens team dynamics, and that sometimes the most important leadership happens when someone is brave enough to be completely themselves while inspiring others to believe that rugby truly is for everyone. Drop a 3 if Keegan Hurst's captaincy courage proves that the most important tackles are the ones that bring down barriers, making rugby safer and more welcoming for every player who follows. When Nigel Owens first picked up a referee's whistle in Welsh club rugby, he seemed destined to become exactly what the sport needed: a knowledgeable official who could control matches with authority, understand the intricacies of elite competition, and represent the values of fair play that define rugby's spirit. His career would establish him as the greatest rugby referee in history. World record for most test matches refereed, 17-year international career, and retiring in December 2020 as one of rugby's most beloved figures worldwide. But Owens's true legacy extends far beyond statistics into the realm of authentic representation and proving that LGBT individuals can achieve positions of ultimate authority in traditional sports while using their platform to advocate for inclusion, respect, and breaking down stereotypes that limit authentic participation. The courage that defined Owens's approach was evident throughout his career as an openly gay referee who commanded absolute respect from players, coaches, and fans worldwide. Unlike many LGBT athletes who struggle with coming out timing, Owens lived authentically while building his refereeing reputation, demonstrating that sexual identity and professional authority could coexist beautifully. His famous wit and firm but fair officiating style made him beloved across rugby nations, proving that authentic personality enhances rather than complicates sporting excellence. What makes Owens's cultural impact so revolutionary is how naturally he used his referee platform to promote LGBT inclusion while maintaining absolute professional standards. His recognition as Gay Sports Personality of the Decade at the 2015 Stonewall Awards demonstrated how authentic representation in authority positions can influence entire sporting cultures. His television work as a presenter on Welsh language chat shows Jonathan and Brewer Bar extended his influence beyond rugby into broader Welsh culture and media representation. The internet has embraced Owens' approach to authentic authority and his commitment to using his platform for positive LGBT advocacy. His honest discussions about rugby's evolution toward inclusion, acknowledging that there is always going to be that 1% of people who are not accepting, while emphasizing that the majority of people who are accepting have a louder voice, provide realistic understanding of ongoing challenges and progress. His advocacy for anti-homophobia and anti-bullying initiatives has influenced rugby organizations worldwide. What's most compelling about Owens' influence is how he proved that LGBT representation in authority positions can strengthen sporting integrity while promoting authentic inclusion. His world record refereeing career demonstrated unquestionable competence, while his authentic identity provided crucial visibility for LGBT individuals seeking leadership roles in traditional sports. His retirement was celebrated globally as the end of an era that redefined what rugby officiating could represent. The most remarkable aspect of Owens's legacy is how he normalized LGBT representation in rugby's most authoritative position while maintaining universal respect and professional excellence. His approach to fame prioritized rugby integrity, authentic self-expression, and meaningful community impact over traditional celebrity management. Industry observers note his substantial influence on rugby culture, LGBT representation standards, and sporting authority that continues influencing officials and advocates worldwide. Whether through his record-breaking refereeing career, his authentic LGBT advocacy, or simply his courage to exist as an openly gay authority figure in rugby's most traditional spaces, Owens represents something beautiful about contemporary sports culture. Proof that authentic representation enhances rather than threatens sporting excellence, and that sometimes the most important authority comes from people brave enough to be completely themselves while ensuring that rugby remains a sport built on respect, inclusion, and fair play for everyone. Drop a 4 if Nigel Owens' referee revolution proves that the most important calls are the ones that create space for everyone to participate authentically in the sports they love. When Ian Roberts first stepped onto the rugby league field as a towering second-row forward in the 1980s, he seemed destined to become exactly what Australian Rugby League needed: a dominant player who could control scrums, make bone-crushing tackles, and represent the warrior mentality that defined state of origin and international competition. His career would establish him as one of Australia's greatest players, South Sydney Dream Team member, one of the top 25 greatest New South Wales players, and at one point the highest paid player in Australian Rugby League with a reported $250,000 annual salary. But Roberts' true legacy extends far beyond statistics into the realm of pioneering courage and proving that he could become the first high-profile rugby player ever to publicly come out as gay, creating every possibility for future LGBT representation in professional sports worldwide. The moment that changed everything came in 1995 when Roberts publicly acknowledged his sexuality, becoming the first high-profile professional rugby player in world history to do so. His decision came after years of living what he described as the worst-kept secret in rugby league, spending Saturday afternoons dominating opponents on the field, then Saturday nights on Oxford Street, Sydney's gay quarter. Not wanting to live a double life, he chose authentic living over strategic concealment, proving that elite athletic performance and honest self-expression could coexist beautifully. What makes Roberts' breakthrough so historically significant is how completely he shattered the wall of silence that had existed around homosexuality in professional rugby. Before Roberts' courage, no major rugby player had ever spoken publicly about being gay, creating an environment where LGBT athletes believed they had to choose between authentic living and sporting careers. His willingness to go first, knowing he would face unknown reactions and potential consequences, demonstrated extraordinary bravery and authentic commitment to positive change. The internet recognizes Roberts as the foundational figure whose sacrifice made possible every subsequent breakthrough in rugby's relationship with LGBT identity. His Australian Sports Medal recognition for contribution to the development of rugby league acknowledged that his impact extended beyond playing into cultural transformation. Contemporary LGBT rugby advocates consistently acknowledge that every openly gay rugby player today stands on Roberts' shoulders and benefits from opportunities that exist only because he was brave enough to go first. What's most compelling about Roberts' influence is how he proved that individual courage can create systematic cultural change despite enormous personal risk. His recent advocacy work in 2025, sending powerful messages to closeted gay players who are afraid to come out, demonstrates 30 years of continued commitment to LGBT representation rather than one-time publicity. His message to current athletes emphasizes authentic self-acceptance and courage to live honestly regardless of potential challenges. The most remarkable aspect of Roberts' legacy is how his pioneering courage in 1995 created every possibility that exists for contemporary LGBT rugby representation. His approach to fame prioritized authentic self-expression and community representation over traditional celebrity management or personal safety. Industry observers note that Roberts' breakthrough directly influenced every positive change in rugby's relationship with LGBT identity, creating opportunities that simply didn't exist before his authentic courage. Whether through his elite rugby career, his pioneering coming out, or simply his courage to exist as the first openly gay professional rugby player when no one knew what consequences he might face, Roberts represents something foundational about human progress. Proof that revolutionary change often requires individuals brave enough to go first, creating possibilities for future generations to compete authentically, safely, and proudly in spaces that had never imagined such representation possible. Drop a 5 if Ian Roberts' pioneering courage proves that the most important victories are the ones that create every door that future champions walk through with pride and authenticity. From Gareth Thomas's legendary Welsh courage to Campbell Johnstone's All Blacks breakthrough, from Keegan Hurst's captaincy leadership to Nigel Owens' referee revolution, and Ian Roberts' pioneering sacrifice, these 5 Rainbow Warriors prove that rugby's greatest strength isn't just its tradition of courage, it's its capacity to evolve and embrace every warrior who loves the game. Each story reminds us that the most important tackles aren't the ones that stop opponents, but the ones that bring down barriers and open hearts. Whether through legendary careers, groundbreaking announcements, authentic leadership, authoritative representation, or pioneering sacrifice, these warriors transformed rugby from a sport that demanded conformity into one that increasingly celebrates authentic diversity. Their collective impact shows us that stereotypes are just assumptions waiting to be challenged by people brave enough to live their complete truth while excelling at the highest levels. They've proven that rugby's values of courage, honor, and respect don't just tolerate authentic diversity, they're enhanced by it, creating stronger teams, better leaders, and more inclusive communities. Which Rainbow Warrior's courage resonated most with your understanding of authenticity and excellence? Drop your numbers 1 through 5 and tell us where you're watching from, because these stories continue to inspire athletes worldwide who are learning that their complete truth is their greatest strength. If you believe rugby should welcome all warriors, smash that like button. Subscribe to Rainbow Spotlight for more celebrations of authentic courage. Remember, in a sport built on physicality, teamwork, and honor, these 5 legends showed us that the most powerful strength comes from being completely, authentically yourself. Because that's when rugby truly becomes the game for everyone who's brave enough to step onto the field as their complete selves. This is Rainbow Spotlight, where rugby's Rainbow Warriors change everything.